Space Cafe. News, music, and comedy.
It was the old, the great Rabbi Hillel said, if I'm not for myself, who will be for me?
The honourable member for Carleton.
Not only are millionaire corporate liberals like Mark Carney refusing to source raw materials from the Xinjiang region of China, which powers its production of those materials with slave labor and coal-fired manufacturing. Here in this government, they're refusing to rule out partnering with companies like iFlyTek, which does AI research to help identify the voice of Chinese political dissidents and carry out that very same genocide. Will the government reverse course and stop partnering with technology companies that enable genocide?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, look, we will partner with folks on the international stage, but it is rich for him to suggest that he is somehow more morally astute than the government. Our focus when it comes to the relationship with China is securing the release of the two Michaels, is the well-being of 300,000 Canadians in Hong Kong, is the treatment of the Uyghur population in Xinjiang. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to focus on Canada playing a leadership role on the world stage in defending the interests of Canadians abroad at every opportunity.
Member for Carleton.
He says he's concerned about the Uyghur Muslim minority in China. He refused to condemn the genocide being committed against that very population. And then he wags his fingers at us. Now, the question was very specific. The federal government is funding research at universities that are now partnering with companies like iFlyTek, which is using voice recognition technology that helps the Chinese government intercept the phone calls of the Uyghur population to identify what they're saying and help carry out the genocide. If he's as moral as he claims, why won't he rule out any further of those types of partnerships?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we have been very clear with respect to the treatment of the Uyghurs in China, and we are gravely preoccupied with all of the very credible reports that have come out of China with respect to their treatment. That is why we have been calling for an open, unfettered, impartial investigation of the situation in Xinjiang, and we will continue to press for that with our international partners.
Well, member for Carleton.
Well, speaking of our international partners, the U.S. State Department has blacklisted iFlyTek because of its role in supporting the genocide in Xinjiang region. The Australians have recognized the company likewise, and recently the Alberta government has called for a national policy that bans technological cooperation with companies like this one that aid in the commission of genocide. Will the government announce today no more funding partnerships with technology companies that help commit genocide?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we have been clear in recent months that cooperation with other countries, including China, that may involve a risk with respect to intellectual property are to be taken into consideration when funding partnerships are proposed in our universities and other institutions. That is something that we're very conscious of, and the Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry has spoken about it recently.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. Mr. Speaker, every day for weeks we've been calling on the government to shed light on events at the Winnipeg Laboratory. The government's response has always been the same. They call us racist, and yesterday they called us conspiracy theorists, confirming that insults are still the weapon of the weak. Yesterday, the CBC, yes, the CBC, mentioned national security experts who also want to get to the bottom of this. And they're even talking about espionage. Why is the government refusing to get to the bottom of this? The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think the Conservative member opposite knows full well by now that we have provided NSI COP fully unredacted documents. This is the appropriate committee, Mr. Speaker, to investigate these documents, and I urge him to stop accusing the government of not being transparent, because in fact, by providing fully unredacted documents, that's exactly what we're being, transparent.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. This is a secret committee we're talking about, and ultimately the Prime Minister has the last word. It's not a parliamentary committee. It's a committee created by the Liberal government, made up of parliamentarians, and we voted against it precisely because there's no transparency. The best way to get to the bottom of things and to meet the concerns of the experts we heard yesterday on CBC is to allow those documents to be tabled here and to be studied by a real parliamentary committee. Why won't the government allow this? The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the opposition party is playing dangerous games with national security. The member knows fully well that, in fact, their party appoints candidates to the NSI COP. The documents are with the committee. They are fully unredacted. I encourage him to stop trying to mislead Canadians and play games with national security.
The old great Rabbi Hillel said, if I not for myself, it will be for me.
It's refused to put into place a wealth tax or a pandemic's profits tax. For this government, the sky is the limit for the ultra-rich. But with a potential fourth wave coming and families struggling, why is this Liberal government slashing supports that Canadians desperately need to put food on the table? Why are Liberals slashing nearly in half emergency benefits for Canadians at this critical time?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, with great respect for the honourable member, I take with some umbrage with the question he's put. He knows fairly well that during this pandemic, it was our government who was there for people in need. We advanced record supports to help families keep food on the tables and help workers remain on the payroll. Going forward, we have immense benefits that we're rolling out to continue to support people and businesses through this pandemic. And I'll point out before he continues to ride on his high horse that when he had the opportunity to vote to cut taxes for the middle class and paying for them by raising them on the 1%, he voted against it. When he had the chance to stop sending childcare checks to millionaires to put more money in the pockets of 9 out of 10 Canadian families, he voted against it too. Families should know.
The Honourable Member for North Island, Powell River.
Mr. Speaker, let's be real. The Liberals offered 1,000 for CRE. The CERB, and it was the NDP that moved them to the 2,000. So I remind the minister of that. In the next 3 weeks, this government is cutting the CRB support to Canadians across the country almost in half. I'm asking the minister how they expect people to buy food, pay their rent, and cover their bills on $1,200. That doesn't pass the test in Canadian cities. This government gives billions of dollars to oil and gas companies. They refuse to tax the ultra-rich, but are fine to nickel and dime everyday people. Instead of working for the ultra-rich and huge corporations, when will this government step up?
Welcome to Safe Space Cafe. News, music, and comedy. Don't forget to like, dislike, subscribe, and comment. Safe Space Cafe. And always, have a good day.